And this is Ken Kreitzer for CBSI Services Talking Business, our interview series talking with leaders in the field of banking, insurance, customer service, digital marketing, and business education, and all to highlight the great work of our team in Harrison, New York at CBSI. We provide insurance-based benefits to the credit card and payment industry, also do a terrific job, I think, in doing customer service management for our clients and their customers. And today we're very glad to have a chance to talk with a banker from the Buffalo, New York area, and that is Daniel Reininga, and he is CEO of the Lakeshore Savings Bank in Dunkirk, New York. Dan, how are you today? Good to have you on our show.
That's great to be on the show. Thanks, Ken. I appreciate it and look forward to our dialogue today.
Our pleasure. And I got to mention, you are a board member of the Independent Bankers Association of New York State, run by our friend John Witkowski, and we very much appreciate the introduction. Now, first, maybe tell us a little bit about your bank. You're in a couple of counties in Western New York. Tell us a little bit about Lakeshore Savings, if you would.
Well, thank you. And Lakeshore Savings Bank is a true community bank. We've been around since 1891. We were founded in Dunkirk, New York. We do serve Chautauqua and Erie Counties in Western New York, which incorporates the Buffalo marketplace. We have a large presence in Chautauqua County, and the fact that we started our business in this area, about 16.5% the market share. And then when you take a look at what's going on in Buffalo, we're about 0.5%. So lots of room to grow there. It's a big marketplace. We're about 680 million in assets. We're in a mutual holding company structure. So if you look at the corporation, 62% of the mid-tier bank corp is held by the depositors of the organization. The rest trades on the NASDAQ. So it gives us a lot of flexibility on what we do for our communities as we serve.
Very good. Now, tell us a little bit about the products and services that you offer your customers as an independent bank, both the consumer and the commercial side, if you would.
So it's mostly traditional lending products, although we do have some state-of-the-art digital products that we bring forward through the various vendors that we use to provide our core services and banking services. But our balance sheet right now is about 50% residential lending and 50% commercial lending. As we grow the organization, we plan on continuing to grow both sides of the fence, if you will. So traditional products include the retail side and mortgage lending, lines of credit, HELOCs, other things like that. And then on the commercial side, we do traditional commercial real estate loans and also look at the C&I side of life.
Very good. Now, one of the things that we've been talking to bankers about, which I thought bankers did a terrific job helping customers through the pandemic, especially when the CARES Act came out last spring, and with the provisions of the Paycheck Protection program, bankers scrambled to help their customers make the applications, which really helped save jobs, save businesses all throughout the country. And tell us a little bit about what the spring and helping your customers through the pandemic was like in the early stages this year.
Well, it's very interesting, obviously, business environment, and we sprung into action with the Paycheck Protection Program lending opportunities with two different conduits, actually. One using a third-party provider, Pursuit NYBDC, which does SBA lending in our area, and they were a good conduit for our customers to use. Along with that, our commercial department went into action. So between the two, we did about 252 Paycheck Protection Program loans and made a substantial, I'll say, contribution to our customer base. Some of the other things that were very interesting is we were approached by non-customers who had been shunned by the larger banks for the Paycheck Protection Program. One specific example, a gentleman that I had been talking to about bringing his relationship to Lakeshore called and said that he was a customer of a large national bank and asked for the Paycheck Protection loan, and they said, well, you don't have a loan with us, so we're not going to consider you for PPP. So ultimately, he called me and told me that story. I said, hey, let us see what we can do for you. And we were able to meet his PPP needs. So very effective that way in growing their customer base and meeting the needs of our community. And that's what our bank is all about, putting people first. And that means helping our customers, energizing our employees, respecting our shareholders, and serving the communities of our region. So Paycheck Protection Program allowed us to serve our communities in a very effective way.
Yeah, we heard that from quite a few community banks around the state, that customers, smaller customers who didn't have a relationship with a large bank, came to them, and it created and the smaller banks, community banks like yours, were able to help them out, and in that way build a new relationship. How are the businesses doing? There's a new stimulus bill that just was passed through Congress over the holidays, literally, that everybody is looking at. How are they doing? What else would you like to see the government do to help them and help the bankers help their customers?
Well, taking a look at it right now, obviously the stimulus checks and increasing them from 600 to 2,000 is going to be great for the smaller customer that we have. As far as the commercial customer, it's really the restaurants and hotels. And when I talk about restaurants specifically, I talk about the local restaurants, which are funded by private equity in a way, and I say private equity family money. And those families are starting to run out of money and trying to meet the need. And if you look in Western New York, we have certain areas that are yellow right now because of COVID. And the challenge for them is to meet the needs of their customers, but it can only be done on a carry-out basis. So a lot of them are starting to close. But perhaps this next round of Paycheck Protection Program money will be effective in letting them continue paying obligations until the sun is a little bit brighter and things tend to reopen.
Yes. Now, one of the things that a number of banks told us was that they had planned for pandemics as part of their regulatory process, and that also, but then when the pandemic started and the shift to work at home, had to go out and buy laptops for their employees. How is this for your employees and your shift to, in some aspects, work at home? How did they do in making the pivot to continue to serve customers during the pandemic?
That was very unique, and of course we went down to drive-through only service at our branches, and then we installed various I'll call them protection devices, modes, etc. We had the mask, we had the gloves, we had the PPE activities, put up the plexiglass over our teller transaction areas, put the speak-throughs from movie theaters in so you could hear a little bit better, because that was one of the biggest challenges. But ultimately, that process for the PPE took us a better part of a month and a half to implement. But when it came to the digitization and working from home, we had 53 people within 3 or 4 days that were able to work from home. Our total staff is about 120. So when you take a look at the back office support and everything, of course, there's some nuances with bandwidth and folks having the ability to have good internet connectivity at home, but most did, and where they didn't, we were able to solve it. But ultimately, our IT department did a banner job, stood up and got things done, and we had devices where necessary and implemented, and things are continuing to evolve with the work from home environment. Our back office is on an A and a B team approach when it comes to working from home, so that we have 1 week on, 1 week off, if you will, in the office, and that has helped with making sure our team is protected.
Okay, very good. Now, one of the challenges we hear from banks, especially smaller banks, is implementing technology. I know what I've seen in my career in terms of just an introduction of ATMs. I go back that far. Yep. And now mobile banking, and the expectation of customers that standards of service are going to be the same, whether you're dealing with Chase Citibank or a small community bank like yours. How do you do that as far as delivering service at the same technology level that other larger banks do?
Well, it's critical that our core provider provide and engage, I'll call it state-of-the-art fintech opportunities for banks like ours. And To that end, we have been, I'll call it somewhat on the early adopter side of electronic banking. As an example, all large regional banks in our area, they were 3 years behind us in adopting mobile ability. So we do have all of what I'll call the appropriate mobile opportunities for our customers and focusing on millennial advisory, those kinds of things. We do have a millennial advisory board, which is an ex officio board of the bank, and we've engaged that group to make sure that we're meeting the needs of millennials on a regular basis. We meet and get feedback from them and engage that in our product design, of course, limited by the fintech providers that we can work with that are engaged with our core.
Certainly, and just as you're on the board of the Independent Bankers Association of New York State, and what are some of the challenges? Obviously, getting through the pandemic, hopefully by mid-year with the vaccines, maybe it'll be somewhat substantially in decline and over. What are some of the challenges, between dealing with the pandemic and other topics that you're looking at for this 2021 year?
So 2021 for us is going to include a core conversion. So it's full court press while we maintain business operations in an environment that has great opportunity for us. So putting those two together sometimes creates a little panic in team members' eyes and hearts and bodies. But ultimately, the goal is to continue to serve our customers at a high level of performance while we engage in a core conversion. So the core conversion, as we complete that, will also open up more conduits for, I'll call them non-traditional services through the fintech relationship, but looking forward to that as well. Ultimately, we're flipping the switch on August 8th. So we're in the preliminary phase of that and well ahead of the process. So we don't want it to be very disruptive to our customers, obviously. But we expect when we look at the new relationship with our new core, again, there's going to be some additional fintech opportunities that create revenue for the organization in a way that's effective. Yeah, the margins have compressed and opportunities are out there to look for other sources of non-interest income, and that's what we look forward to with fintech partnerships.
And we have the pleasure to talk today with Daniel Reininga, who's the CEO of Lakeshore Savings based in Dunkirk, New York, right near Buffalo. And Dan, tell us a little bit about your background. You come actually from a real estate background and got into banking as a mid-career shift. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, it's kind of interesting when you started talking about ATMs in the banking world. My first career was with the Talon Zipper Company in Meadville, Pennsylvania. I worked for them for 5 years. And I remember when the fax machine came in and replaced the telex when we were dealing with our international locations. So very interesting. And I'm not that old, but I started that in 1980, 1985, went back and went to graduate school, University of South Florida, and I received an MBA, and then was looking around for something to do. And my dad said, "Why don't you come back to our family business?" And I became a fourth generation SOB. That stands for son of boss, by the way. And very enjoyable experiencing working with the family. Small real estate development company. I was appointed to the board of directors for Lakeshore in 1994 as a millennial, if you will, a 36-year-old. And very much enjoyed my experience. And back then we had the residential loan committee that met weekly and things like that. And then as we grew as an organization, I think we had about 250 million in assets at that point. Started deploying the ATMs, et cetera. I was promoted to vice chair of the board and ran the asset liability committee. Chaired that, if you will, for the bank. And around 2008, our CEO, Dave Mancuso, who still serves on our board, was asked who he thought might be his successor to the organization as he was getting to the point where it was retirement was in his vocabulary. And he mentioned my name and asked if I'd be interested, and I started taking a look at it. So over the next few years, I got involved with the Stone International Graduate School of Banking, as one of the first directors, quote, quote, to ever go to that school. They were very excited by that, but the underlying opportunity was that I might come inside the bank. So went through that process, had taken some other courses on asset and liability management. My personal office is half a block away from the bank headquarters, so everything worked pretty well. And ultimately in 2010, I was given the opportunity to come inside as chief operating officer. And then Dave, after 45-year career, retired in 2011, and I was given the opportunity to interview for CEO of the organization and was successful in achieving that. So here I am today, and now I'm another SOB, that stodgy old banker. So it's I'm double SOB.
Well, listening to, your story, you got into the bank just in time for mobile banking.
That's right.
And that must have been a pretty big challenge to learn how to serve customers on a mobile platform and do it securely. How is that for you?
It's a very good program that we have, and again, partnering with our core provider to make that happen. And it was very seamless in the sense that you flip the switch, you get it started, you roll it out, customers appreciate it. Now, obviously, there's a way that most folks bank today. We do have an older population of customers as well, and a lot of those folks are connected, as we call them, connected customers. So very encouraged to continue to use that as an opportunity, especially during the pandemic, to make sure our customers are staying safe as we serve them.
You bring up the point of what functions you want to do in-house. You mentioned managing providers for fintech and mobile banking. How do you determine what services you want to do in-house versus those that you find an excellent provider for?
Well, really, when it comes to technology and developing opportunities for our customers, as a small organization, obviously it's difficult for us to code something that would be as state-of-the-art as a fintech. So looking to the open source code and the ability for fintechs to integrate with a core provider was a big decision on the core that we eventually, or a big component of the core decision that we made as we transition our core. So we want to make sure that we had that ability to plug and play without a lot of stodginess. So our new core provider is going to make that happen for us. And not that it didn't with the old core, but it wasn't as nimble.
Sure. No, that's a big challenge. We often talk, even when I have a background going back working for Chase, is what's, if you have to do 10 things to provide a product to a customer, how many of those do you want to do yourself versus bringing a supplier in? Hey, let's talk a little bit about, you've got a number of community projects. One you mentioned to me, Mike's Way, which helped a name of a child who had cancer and now helps children in hospitals. Hey, tell us about that program, if you would.
So Mikey's Way is very important to us. It's a organization that is very near and dear to our hearts. I serve on the board. Our chairman of Lakeshore Savings Bank, Kevin Sandvidge, also serves on the board of directors of Mikey's Way. Mikey's Way was established many years ago by a young man, Mikey Friedman, who had a very rare form of cancer. And he was given an opportunity to do a Make-A-Wish as a young man in college, at Harvard specifically. He decided to take his Make-A-Wish opportunity and use that to buy devices that would be used for connectivity for children in hospital being treated for cancer. So some video games, laptops, other things that were available and continue to be available are the items that we distribute to children in hospitals. So it's very effective. It's amazing when you see the reaction of children. I've been on several Mikey's Way days. There's no strings attached. There's no economic criteria, nothing other than the child is in the hospital being treated for cancer. So pre-pandemic, we would take a crash cart through a hospital, and it would be loaded with electronic devices, and the child could choose whatever they wanted off that crash cart. Sometimes the parents had a little steering in there, but it was always the child, and we want to make sure the child received what they were interested in. So ultimately, in today's world, we have opportunity for folks that are involved in the treatment of these children to send us a request form, and we'll mail to them an iPad or a computer or some kind of connected video game that the child can use to pass the treatment time with. And that was Mikey's biggest recognition of watching the hands on the clock move and how boring the treatment world is. So if we're going to bring a bright spot to a child by offering them some kind of connected device, lets them stay in touch with their posse, as we call it. Yeah. It's a great opportunity. So it's a great organization. MikeysWay.org is the website. Check them out.
We will feature that URL on the caption to our interview today. Hey, I just got to ask you, you have a very unique athletic activity that you found to, like all of us, try and stay in shape, and you've gotten into mountain climbing with your family. Tell us a little bit about that, if you would.
That's right. When it was really interesting because when I was offered the opportunity to come inside the bank, I was looking at my physical profile. I weighed about 340 pounds. Most people said, no way, but I felt it. So ultimately, one day I was talking to one of our bank consultants whose headquarters is in this region, and Paul Wallenhorst. So Paul and I started talking about how I could get in shape. And I said, Paul, opportunity, I know it's a big opportunity, but I think I want to climb Mount Rainier. I had climbed Mount Rainier when I was 15 years old with my twin brother, and thought, that's a lofty goal that I might be able to achieve, but a goal to get me in shape. So ultimately, Paul's face dropped wide open. He said, you won't believe this, but I have a 3x5 picture of Mount Rainier on my office wall. So game on. We started training, started the exercise routine. We climbed a 50-foot hill, and we stopped 8 times on the way up. But ultimately, we were, as we trained for Mount Rainier and planned, we were doing 4 or 5 hour hikes up double black diamonds at a local ski area with a 50-pound pack on our back. So trained well. So Paul and I both have several sons. So I invited my son Mark, my oldest son, to climb. This was in 2013, and Paul invited his son Mark as well. So we successfully ascended Mount Rainier on July 2nd in 2013. And then looking at the fact that I had 2 other sons, I thought, what the heck, let's give them all an opportunity. So in 2016, my son Parker and I successfully ascended Mount Whitney, which is the tallest mountain in the lower 48 at 14,508. Mount Rainier is 14,410. So anyhow, 2 out of 3 sons, we accomplished the mission. And ultimately, my youngest son, Alex, who is 23, I have a friend who is very involved with a mission over in Tanzania to serve and create water wells in Tanzania for Maasai villages. So part of their fundraising event included a climb of Mount Kilimanjaro. Wow. And the team that they do usually does it with NFL alumni or standard folks like me who are interested in climbing. So he called me up one day, and Gary Renaud is his name. He serves on the board of World Serve, which is one of the organizations that did the climb. Ultimately, he said, hey, I've got good news for you. We're doing the Kili climb. And I instantly said, I'll take 4 spots. So my son Alex and I, along with Paul Wallenhorst and his son Tim, went after Mount Kilimanjaro. So literally, we ascended Mount Kilimanjaro a year ago. Yesterday, we started the climb, and we finished it with successful peak experience. So 3 peaks, 3 sons. My daughter, oldest child, is 32. And ultimately, we have peak performance in mind there too. Maybe Machu Picchu or some other peak, but she's blessed me with 4 grandchildren. So she's in that family stage right now, but ultimately we're going to get that done too. You can see my Mount Kilimanjaro climb picture right here with my son at the top. So anyhow.
Hey, that's great. I mean, that's quite a challenge you took up, which certainly has a health benefit and just the the idea of being able to overcome and do something very difficult of a physical nature. That's terrific. And we're just really pleased to have a chance to chat today with Daniel Reininga, who is the CEO of Lakeshore Savings up in Dunkirk, New York, very close to Buffalo. Have a final thought for us today about 2021, and I know you're very interested in the Buffalo Bills and their playoff fortunes.
No kidding. Yeah, so it's pretty interesting. We're the official bank of the Buffalo Bills Alumni Foundation, which is the foundation that was created and represents 64, 65 Bills and other Bills as they have retired from the team. So there's also the legends side of the NFL, but we're not the legends side. So very interesting when I talk to the guys and some of the things that we do. Van Miller, who was the voice of the Buffalo Bills for 37 years, is actually from Dunkirk, where our bank is headquartered. So Uncle Van, as we call him, near and dear to our heart. But we have a golf tournament in his honor that was started for Van Gloria Miller, the hometown hero golf tournament, which funds local scholarships at the Dunkirk High School. So very interesting opportunities to get in touch with the Bills. The Bills training camp used to be in the Dunkirk Fredonia area years ago during the Super Bowl years. And then my twin brother's wife was good friends with Jim Kelly's agent at the time. So got to know the team of that era a little bit, hosted dinners at our house. We had, first time my brother said we were going to have a party, I said, yeah, sure. And we had, I think, 7 attendees. Next time was 14, and then we had 26 and 26 players for the subsequent years. So lots of fun getting to know the Bills and spending time with them, and more importantly, supporting the charities. They're a great organization and just a wonderful group of guys. Some have their own foundations, but the Bills that we work with through the foundation really have a heart of giving back to the community. A lot of them still stay in the community as well. So it's been a great opportunity again for us to serve another base of clients with Lakeshore Savings Bank.
Hey, very good. A neat relationship for you and for the bank. And Daniel Reininga, CEO, Lakeshore Savings, Dunkirk, New York, the Buffalo area, also a board member of the Independent Bankers Association of New York State. Just a delight to talk with you today, hear about how you've been serving your customers through the pandemic and your outlook for the future. And I sure hope we get to do this again.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity, and really go Bills.
Okay. This is great. This is Ken Kreitzer for CBSI Services Talking Business, our interview show, talking with leaders in banking, insurance, customer service, and all to highlight the great work of our team at CBSI in Harrison, New York. We provide insurance-based benefits to the credit card and payments industry. So from my home office in White Plains, New York, great to talk with everyone today. Have a great day.